how we were lazy. And the very people we give the money then use the money to buy off all our politicians. How do you respond to Warren Buffett being the biggest recipient of banker bailout money and the biggest public lobbyist, spending over $300 million, look it up, in the last 6 years promoting tax increases in TV ads, print ads, and underwriting ABC Nightly News, CNN? Look it up. Did you know Warren Buffett and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation underwrite almost every major TV show and channel out there? Look it up. Hundreds of millions of dollars of your money used to prop up MSNBC, ABC Nightly News. They are paid to come out and attack their enemies. And who do they attack? They attack yours truly. Because they know, ladies and gentlemen, I've read the books they've written. They think you're so stupid that you'll never go read them. I've read their writings. I know who they are. I know who their minions are. I know what their game plan is. The truth is, up until about a year or two ago, they would tell the truth in policy papers what they were up to. Gary Hart would write in Huffington Post, we stage terror attacks and we may stage another one to launch a war against Iran. I mean, the list goes on and on. They operate out in the open and have literally hundreds of books written by top futurists saying they're going to build a world government and exterminate the majority of the population, but first dumb us down and have us ask for our extermination. I mean, I've read stuff from the 20s and 30s about how they had to get children out of people's arms into baskets and into crates and into cradles and cribs to break the human connection to them, because they found when they removed baby rats from their mothers, they were addled, stupid, fearful, and pathetic. I mean, the children don't get mother's milk. Their brains are a third smaller on average when given formula. I mean, there's a reason the public's dumb and cowardly and weak. I was hanging on my parents' neck like a monkey. I slept with them. I sat there and watched everything they did. I have memories when I was like a year and a half old of realizing I had a symbiotic relationship with my parents and fearing something would happen to them because they were my biological robot that did things for me. Kids supposed to be hanging like a monkey off their parents' neck, watching everything, developing into a seriously smart, aggressive creature. Instead, you look at all these people, they're little kids. The SWAT teams, all of them, are trying to be men, trying to find their mother, trying to find their father, trying to find their tribe. That they have biologically, and now all the science is coming out in major universities. I saw one out of Princeton just the other day, another out of Calgary, up in Canada. And the top professors are going, epigenetics, it's incredible. We need to be held and we need to be taught. We need to go through things when we're a kid so that it triggers our epigenetics and boosts the IQ. And they're going, I can't believe that everything we do is to lower IQ and to lower human development and accessing our real programming. What you just think you just discovered that this year, scientist? The new adulthood is at 25. It's about to be 30. These people... If a baby isn't held by their parents, if a baby isn't given the fat in the mother's milk, the baby releases hormones and chemicals and then activates genes. This is on record. To where they live in fear and are totally cowardly and have no idea what planet they're on, and then have to be given antidepressants because they're so freaked out. Oh, when your 11-year-old daughter has anxiety because she's got zits for the first time and goes into puberty, it isn't go through the crisis, deal with it, learn how to deal with it. No, it's drug your daughter with serotonin reuptake inhibitors and stuff like that. Psychotropics. When your son gets beat up for the first time or beats somebody up because they start a fight, the answer is drug them instead of giving them a medal. You're not allowed to go through any of the rites of passage. And I biologically realized this myself a long time ago. Because it's the rites of passage that then activate another chapter in who you are. And I don't believe in reincarnation, but it is 100% fact that you are the generations that came before you, but you must have ritual. That's what ritual is, to activate the genes. And it's now been proven. And I'm going to get a string of scientists on. Top psychologists, top psychiatrists, top geneticists, top neurologists. I mean, there is a growing body of evidence And, of course, the elite knows this, and everything they do is to block your ascension, is to block your honorable development into manhood, into womanhood. You're supposed to be a man by the time you're 12 or 13, ladies and gentlemen. At least a man physically, a man in your desires, a man in your will. Not when you're 27, the new average age for launch for an American male. And then the globalists bring the fake thug life, thug gangster system as that's supposed to be male to young men. And I've already digressed. My point is, when you see MSNBC or CNN, this is hardcore, weaponized, anti-human, destructive systems to turn off your life force, to turn off your genetics, and to make you be an addled, weak, nanny state creature, so that you can be absorbed into the singularity and so you won't struggle. They don't want alive, conscious humans to try to struggle for control of their own destiny. They want to program your destiny and force you into a false collective. You're already part of a collective, all of your ancestors. And you live in the collective structures and literature and art and music and religion that they built. You understand that, ladies and gentlemen? And these people want to rob you of that. So when we come back, we're going to break down how to defeat them. We're going to break down their desperately hitting the panic button, saying, GOP, do not listen to Alex Jones. They're trying to set the parameter, say, do not listen to this man. Because if you listen to me, we will overthrow these people. We will be right back. Stay with us. We now have the White House memos. And Joseph Farah's on the show Friday to talk about this. Where what was Clinton worried about in 1993-94? Whitewater Vince Foster homepage. I remember that site listing all the deaths. People with their arms and legs chopped off, shot 9 times in the head. Fahmy Malak would rule it a suicide. Clinton's medical examiner. Remember all that? The Clinton Chronicles, all of it. Oh, how to shut down communications on the net between congressional Republicans and right-wing conspiracy theory proponents. And again, they talk about defining any criticism of any claims of corruption. That doesn't exist, even though it all came out. New York Times article, Washington Post article, San Diego Union Tribune article, Washington Post article. This was them freaking out over just a few articles. Can you imagine now how they feel, knowing that the average MSNBC show has about 100,000 viewers, their top show's 500,000? Can you imagine? Now what's going to happen here, though, is that they do have the stage terror card. And they will probably play it. It's all they've got, even though we're going to expose them on that front. And I think because they are so exposed, it'll be incredibly heinous. I think Obama's thinking about nuking New York City. I really do. And I've been telling you that for a long time, and now you said his number one fear is a nuke. He doesn't say who, blowing up Manhattan. And I think what the Bundy Ranch message sends them is this. The word's gone out that criminal elements hijacked the country and are staging terror attacks. And so even if you try to nuke New York to bring in total martial law, even if you unplug the internet and everything, it's not going to work. And I know you have a total bloodlust to go after bitter clingers, and socialists and communists are the foot soldiers of the foreign banks. The fascists, but they use socialists and communists as their foot soldiers, and they so hate freedom and so want to put us in those weatherman camps and so want to be able to just say your kids belong to us and totally take over once and for all that they may do anything. That's why it's important to really dominate them up front. Because if you let one tyrant stand up, they might all stand up and stage a terror attack, and then there goes America, and then we'll have nuclear war, and there goes the planet. To turn a bug's life on its head, you let one ant stand up, they might all stand up. And then there goes our way of life. Well, what about we keep letting the tyrants run all over us? They're going to get so megalomaniacal, they're going to jump the shark and bite off more than they can chew. It's not just with us. They're starting wars with Russia. China's starting wars with Japan, seizing their ships for ships Japan took in the 1930s. War is brewing because there's a global financial meltdown happening because of the derivatives and attacks on productivity and overpopulation in some areas. I don't believe in the general theories of overpopulation the way they're deployed. There is overpopulation in many areas. And there's cultures that don't have missions and are just living in absolute squalor and hell. And the globalists are usually aiding and abetting that, as the British Commission on Population stated in 49. I mean, they admitted that. Because they don't want to give Promethean fire to the third world and build them up. You industrialize, you quit having even enough kids to replace yourself. You get a 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 replacement rate. You need 2.1, as everybody knows, to even hold the society up. So they've figured out a collapse algorithm where they see the collapse before it happens and they orchestrate it before the flashpoints come that cause a collapse that they're not steering. You see what I'm saying? And then in that collapse, they plan to target the best members of the human civilization because we're seen as alpha leaders who challenge them in their override of humanity. And that's, again, their ultimate sin. I keep restating that is a sin against humanity. Even if you believe in God, that is a sin against the species. It is eugenics inverted, not even targeting of the weak. It is the targeting of the strong. But eugenics was always about that. That's outer eugenics is the targeting of the weak and the mentally ill. But it's authored by inbred globalists who were obsessed with genes because they were so inbred, most of their children were absolute nightmares or were born dead. So the elite put all their money into finding what made humans operate. It's incredible. I mean, they are master builders. They are incredible engineers. They are smart. I mean, I'll give it to them. But the thing is, they've got this twist of Cain in them that makes them so wicked that anything they build ends up being predatory and just destroying everything in its path. Collectively, the globalists are an artificial intelligence already. And let me announce to you here now, unequivocally, that an artificial intelligence has existed for at least 10 years, and it is called the Internet. The Internet is a upload of an already existing sentient system, but on a mass scale. It is the collective Minnesota multiphasic system squared to infinity, algorithmed and sent into the giant mainframe grids to predict the future and then be able to steer the future with artificial stimuli brought in from the outside. And I've told you this for 10 years. Now it's mainstream news. And this artificial intelligence is piloted. You can say, is it conscious? Is it sentient? I would say it is, because it's animated by the ghost in the machine that is human will and intellect and choices and desires flowing through it. Okay? But then you've got almost possession of the artificial system by the technocrats at the top, those that control the keys to the NSA and the Microsoft and Google grids. And what the elite did was decide to carve it up so that one person didn't have all the rings of Mordor. And so keys or rings were given to Microsoft, given to Apple, given to Google, given to the NSA. The Pentagon wants keys. That's what cybersecurity is. They're all battling. The Chinese were given keys. The Brits were given keys. NATO was given keys. Interpol, to a certain extent, was given keys or rings. They were given rings of power, to use that analogy. That's actually how the globalists describe it. I said it's like a palantir or a ring, and now we get the secret NSA documents. That's what they call them, rings and palantirs. I mean, I just know their mind, because I have an organic system as well that's able to gather the data and understand how humans operate. So I know how humans are manifesting because I know man. I know how they're manifesting in the artificial intelligence. You understand that? The artificial intelligence, there it is, 7 people who've been entrusted with the keys to the Internet. I didn't even know that was in the news. I already know most of the time what's in the news before it's in the news, because I know the mind of this system, because I live it and I study it. And you can see it all being built around you. So remember, from the beginning, they wanted to keep libertarian or traditionalist or conservative ideas out, or anyone just exposing, man, a lot of people are getting murdered. A lot of people are dying. Vince Foster. This shows these are just people we're facing, and they'll always be people. They claim they're going to dial into the Internet. They claim they're going to be sentient and tied into everything. And then they openly say in all their writings that those of us that don't join the collective will be eliminated. That's a 1970s Pentagon document that was reclassified. It was declassified in 2001, reclassified. the Federation of American Scientists released it, and then it was reclassified. But the Pentagon said full spectrum dominance is the evolution of television, smart computers, smart glasses, smart contacts, the first ports that'll be status symbols, brain implants, and then moving completely into humans that will live a time in tanks for their safety, in an embryonic dream state, basically, into the neural hive. They call it a hive. And then finally you will transcend your body and the biological side of you will be removed. And if you don't accept that, you will be just stepped on like a bug, to quote Ray Kurzweil. And you're going, Alex, I've heard of this before. It's called The Matrix. Yes, the Wachowski brothers got what they put in that movie from a lot of sources, but it came, ladies and gentlemen, from the Pentagon and DARPA. The internet came from DARPA and the Pentagon. This is a master decision that has been made to end you and your family as you know it. The mega churches have all brought the Xboxes and smartphones in for the kids. They're telling the women divorce their husbands. I mean, you are just going to see the total manifestation of evil, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to see the will of the horrible people like Ezekiel Emanuel and Bill Gates and Bill Clinton and George Soros and the Queen of England. You're going to see these people given this incredible power. And I'm here to tell you, the singularity is going to happen in stages. But the singularity for humans dialing in, for the elite to be able to predict general future trends with 100% algorithm, is now happening. The problem in the algorithm is alternative, independent media exposing criminal operations, because if you revert to your original human programming against corruption, and if you click back into that mode and not their new programming, they can't predict the future. They can only predict the future because they're feeding you the stimuli to be able to predict the future. That's how Amazon can begin to ship your package before you go to the website and order it. They know what you're going to order with their algorithms. But that's only because they've been tracking you for 10 years. When you break with them, now you are reborn. And this is not even religious. This is a program-level algorithm. You have an ancient algorithm unknown in its true providence. The eye has not seen, ear has not heard God's real operation. They put out fake men to stunt and de-science the ancient teachings so that you will not go back to the basic common sense of what the earth really is, so you will accept these new demigods as your gods. What type of God says we're crap when we were able to build this and plans to kill us when we manifest it as a god? Ray Kurzweil said, I don't believe in God yet. I went and saw Transcendence last night, an incredibly wicked movie, where he is Johnny Depp, the scientist, the computer is God manifest, and it brings the general public back to the Stone Age. The singularity destroys technology except for itself. And now it is a biotech in the Earth's genetic code to save it. Well, let me tell you, everything that the system's bringing out rewrites the genetic code and ends the planet as we know it. So this is what they're doing. And their religion is in your face, that they're God. Folks, do you think Rachel Maddow or Janet Reno is your God? The Creator made us, and we were able to create this. These people have hijacked the Promethean fire that God gave us, and then they tell us they're God when the spark of God, little g, was given to us in the image. And then everything they do is to attack the image and to attack the creation because it looks like and acts like and has the stamp and the smaller algorithm of the greater creator. The truth is, we are the nanotech of God. We, the life on this planet, are the finger of God. And the enemy has hacked us and is using our power to create, to then create abominations on the face of the earth. I mean, are you going to be ruled by that narcissistic, stunted, small technician of evil? Rachel Maddow, the people on MSNBC saying, quote, I'm a terrorist connected to the Boston bombing who's deeply racist. My lawyer said, oh, you'll definitely win a lawsuit against them. It'll take 2 years. You want to do that? No. Everyone knows they're discredited. Everyone has voted organically that they don't want to watch them. We don't want your Godhead. We don't want your manifestation. We don't think you're God. We don't want to follow you. We don't want to worship you. We are fulfilled. Our destiny is there for us. You are not our destiny. You are an abomination. You are death. You stink. You're ugly. You smell. Literally. Do you understand that? You are a failure. It's why you want to butcher us. It's why you hate us. Do you understand that, scum? Stand down. Get behind us. MSNBC, White House, get behind me, Satan. Get behind me. I do not want to be part of your works. I am a free, sentient being in the universe, and under universal law, I declare my freedom. I declare that I will have justice, and I declare I am not your slave. You got that? You understand that? I think you do. You don't like that, do you? Now get out of humanity's way. If you guys think you can get your own resources that weren't stolen and go off to some asteroid and build the hellish world you want to build, you go there and feed off each other and be greedy and hateful and scum and pose that you're the good guys all day. We don't want to be around you. Our children are ours, and they belong to the 1,000 generations before us. They do not belong to you. You belong to your generations of evil, failed scum, guaranteed. You go be with your people, we'll be with ours. How's that sound? And people whose genetics resonate with us, old, young, black, white, north, south, east, west, they will be called to the true light. You will be called to your inferno that you flap around like blind moths. So, you've got your God, we've got our God. Our God is the God that has justice and that has families and that has honor and truth. And we can see the fruits of your God. Your God creates World War III. Your God creates Al-Qaeda. Your God creates death and destruction and abortion and fraud. Your God creates giant ghettos of dependent, soulless people grown up in front of television their whole lives, acting like thugs with giant prisons and record cancer rates. We don't like where you take us. We don't like the way you taste. And you force-fed us a lot of your evil. We're now going to stick our fingers down our throats and vomit you out of us. We're now going to exorcise you. We're now going to perform a global exorcism and kick your asses off the planet. How does that sound? We'll be right back. I'm going to give the number out and take calls in the third hour. I'm a little bit preachy today. We're going to come back with your calls. David Knight's coming up with some breaking news as well. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. It is all more proof and a signpost that we are entering a contrived, orchestrated global crisis that the Davos and Bilderberg group on record plan to ride to world government and total control under a technocratic surveillance grid. Coming up, Homeland Security to purchase 25 million more shotgun rounds on top of the 2.6 plus billion rounds that have been purchased the last 4 years. We've also got Justice Scalia says court upholding traffic stop based on anonymous tip, a freedom-destroying cocktail, and 2 news stories that just went up on Infowars.com that are off the chart insane, because it just shows you they're getting ready to go fully operational with Homeland Security as the domestic Stasi force that it was built to be. They even hired the former head of the Stasi, Marcus Wolf, to consult for 2 years. When I first heard that in 2003 on the radio from a guest host or a guest I had on, I didn't believe it. Al Martin was covering it, investigative journalist, and I went and looked it up and actually found a Homeland Security document and congressional links where they were hiring him as a consultant. I mean, hire the former head of the Stasi to consult for 2 years. He died after that. Here's the headline. Louisiana creates database of citizens who represent a risk to the state. Texas tried to pass a database like this about 4 years ago that, quote, if you've been critical of the government, you'd be in a database when you were pulled over. So there you go. And it admits they track everyone and watch everyone, basically with NSA software. We're going to play that video coming up. Here's another one that dovetails with that. New York Homeland Security encourages businesses to snitch on preppers as terrorists. Purchasing MREs, flashlights, or ammunition is suspicious activity. That's why I've seen articles in mainstream news in New York State and New Jersey where in one case, an old guy bought 500 rounds of .22. That's what it comes in. And the FBI came to his house to see why he got it. And it's just to create the impression that that's illegal or terrorist and to get you used to men coming to your house. You know, the government funds Al-Qaeda and opens the borders up and launders hundreds of billions a year in drug money publicly. But if you buy MREs or candles or flashlights or whatever, we're going to come visit your house. We're going to come ask you questions. We're going to, oh, you're buying guns. We're going to come ask you why. And they're just getting you accustomed to being in contact with the secret police. So that, you know, the third or fourth time they come to visit you, you don't resist when they put you in handcuffs and disappear you under NDAA. This is part of domestication. It's how you domesticate pigs, cows, sheep, geese. They handle you first. TSA is psychologically to get you used to being touched and then groped and then x-rayed. By the way, under lawsuits and federal orders, they claim they stopped groping under 12-year-olds. That's not true. I've seen it myself. They backed off a little bit. Now they're back, and we have video of that coming up. DrudgeReport.com has it linked. It's an Infowars.com story. Video, TSA agents pat down 2- and 6-year-old children. A Paul Joseph Watson article. Infants allegedly targeted because mother's name was on watch list. And they made the watch list secret 7 years ago. But when they made it secret, there was 2.2 million people on the list, including my father, who could barely fly, who has no criminal record and hasn't had a speeding ticket in a decade. What was it, something like 20 members of Congress were on no-fly list and couldn't get off? Oh, there's some secret group says you can't fly. Oh, there's some secret group says you can't work, you can't travel, your car won't turn on. That's where the technocracy is going with the smart meters, the black boxes already in all the cars. I told you when MIT talked about it 15 years ago, they would track you by the mile and tax you. The boxes started going in. They became law last year. And now they're going, guess what? We're going to start taxing you by the mile, Jack. Live time, you got internet tracker boxes in your car, basically a cell phone tracking you under the car in a hardened box that's wired into your ignition and everything else, where they can hit one button and turn your car off. And see, cops are listening going, he's not supposed to know that. I knew that 15 years before you even knew it was being put in. When, you know, cops would walk by me in Austin and go, are the black helicopters going to get me? Am I being listened to? You don't laugh anymore, do you? Because you're being tracked, too. You're being watched, too. Remember back just 5 years ago, the NSA doesn't spy on Americans. That's a conspiracy theory. Now they're like, we spy on everything you do, and it's totally illegal, and you sit down and shut up. We're putting you all on list. We're buying millions of rounds of ammo, thousands of armored vehicles, and training to take on gun owners. It's called treason.